Yo guys, today is officially day 101. And honestly, I still can't believe we survived this long in the middle of the shark ocean. Me and my friend Jake have been trapped on this tiny wooden raft for over 100 days. No real food, almost no clean water, no rescue, nothing. Just endless dark ocean all around us and giant sharks waiting for us to fall into the water. Every single night we hear them circling under the raft. Every single morning we wake up wondering if today will finally be the day we die. But day 101 was different. Something about the ocean felt wrong from the moment I opened my eyes. The sky was dark gray and huge storm clouds covered everything. The waves were hitting the raft harder than usual and the wood underneath us was making cracking sounds. I slowly stood up and looked around while Jake was still sleeping near the edge of the raft. The ocean was quiet, way too quiet. Usually we could hear sharks splashing somewhere nearby, but this time there was nothing. No sound at all except the wind. Then suddenly a giant shark exploded out of the water right next to the raft and water splashed all over us. I screamed and jumped backward while Jake woke up in complete panic. The shark's mouth was huge and filled with sharp teeth. It circled around us slowly before disappearing back under the water. Jake looked at me breathing heavily and said, "Bro, I think these sharks are getting smarter." I didn't answer because deep down I knew he was right. We checked our supplies after that attack and things were looking terrible. We only had one tiny fish left and half a bottle of dirty rainwater. That was it. No more food. No more clean water. Jake sat down quietly and stared at the ocean. "If we don't find something today," he said, "we're not making it to day 102. Hearing that made my stomach drop because I knew he wasn't joking. I grabbed our fishing hook and carefully leaned over the side of the raft. Every movement had to be slow because the raft shook so hard that Jake lost his balance and slipped toward the edge. Half his body was hanging over the water. Right below him, the shark opened its mouth wide. I could literally see rows and rows of giant teeth. Jake screamed my name while grabbing the edge of the raft with both hands. I jumped forward and grabbed his arm just before he fell in. The shark snapped its jaws inches below his feet. I pulled with all my strength and somehow managed to drag him back onto the raft. Both of us were breathing hard now. The shark kept circling around us, slowly, patiently, like it knew eventually we would make a mistake. Hours passed and the storm finally calmed down a little. We started repairing the raft again when Jake suddenly pointed into the water. "Wait, what's that?" he asked. At first I thought it was just floating trash. But then lightning flashed again and I saw something shiny deep underwater. It looked like a metal box stuck between rocks below us. A treasure chest. Jake's eyes got wide. "Bro, do you think there could be supplies inside?" I stared at the sharks circling nearby. "Yeah," I said slowly, "but getting it won't be easy." For a few minutes, neither of us said anything. Finally, Jake looked at me and said, "We didn't survive 101 days just to give up now." He was right. We tied a rope around my waist while Jake held the other end tightly. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. The water below looked dark and freezing. I took one deep breath and jumped in. The second I hit the water, I regretted it. Everything below was cold and silent. I swam down toward the chest as fast as possible while trying not to panic. The sharks immediately noticed me. I could see shadows moving around in the distance. Fast shadows. I reached the chest and tried pulling it free, but it was stuck between rocks. I pulled harder. Nothing happened. Then suddenly I saw one of the sharks rushing toward me. Fast. My heart almost stopped. Inside were food cans, bottles of fresh water, batteries, and something even more important. A flare gun. But underneath everything else, there was also an old map. Jake picked it up carefully. "Bro, this looks like an island." For the first time in weeks, we actually felt hope again. Maybe we could finally escape this nightmare. But then I noticed something written in red ink on the corner of the map. Danger. That one word changed everything. The next morning, we started following the map. Using broken wooden planks as paddles, we slowly moved across the ocean while watching for sharks the entire time. Hours passed. The weather became colder and thick fog started covering the water around us. Soon we could barely see anything. Then suddenly Jake pointed ahead. Land! Far in the distance we saw an island. We started paddling faster than ever before. Finally, after more than 100 days trapped at sea, we had found land. But the closer we got, the stranger the island looked. Broken houses lined the beach. Destroyed boats were scattered everywhere. Palm trees had fallen over and huge bite marks covered some of the wrecked wood near the shore. Jake looked nervous. What happened here? I didn't answer because honestly I didn't want to know. We stepped onto the island carefully. The sand felt weird after spending so long on the raft. Everything was silent except for the waves crashing behind us. We explored slowly through the destroyed buildings looking for supplies. Inside one broken house we found a message written on the wall. Don't go into the water at night. Jake stared at the words silently. Bro, this place is cursed. Before I could respond, we suddenly heard screaming coming from the beach. We ran outside as fast as possible. And there it was, the giant shark, the same monster from the ocean. It circled around the island slowly while dozens of smaller sharks surrounded it. They weren't leaving, they were waiting. Then suddenly the water far behind the sharks started moving violently. Huge waves formed across the ocean. Something massive was rising from below. Something even bigger than the giant shark. The water exploded upward and every shark suddenly started swimming away in fear. Jake looked at me screaming, "What is that thing?" And right before we could see the creature clearly, everything went dark.